Commissioner Hodges?
Here.
Commissioner Shantz?
Here.
Mayor Palladino?
Here. Mr. City Manager, you want to proceed with the topics?
I certainly can, Mr. Mayor. Thank you all for coming in for this special meeting here in our new conference room. It's usually pretty hot in here, so I appreciate everybody being with us, although the air conditioning is on today, so we're in good shape. Number one, real quick, discussion on temporary sign exemption ordinance changes. Tom and I have been bringing that back to y'all. That's, Tom, I believe, the A-frames and flutter sign exemption. That seems to be pretty popular in town, and I think everybody is playing by the rules on that one. Commissioner Pohl wants to revisit the rental inspection ordinance. We lived that drama at the last meeting. I've talked to all of you individually. I think we've kind of found something that works for everybody, kind of a split the baby type resolution, and so we'll bring that to the city attorney is currently drafting the language for that. We've met with several people, including Commissioner or Vice Mayor Pohl, and I think we've got what we need. Mayor, you had asked that this Pinellas County Emergency Medical Services ALS First Responder Agreement be on there. It's a resolution that I believe all the other counties or not county cities are adopting as well.
Well, actually, it originally came from Dunedin, and it's been changed. I went ahead and supported it through the EMS Advisory Board. We went ahead and endorsed it to go to the county, and also that the city would consider it. Y'all get a chance to take a look at it, but basically, bottom line is getting more money from the EMS system from the county and other county sources to fund our fire, water rescue equipment, and the sheriff's office also being able to go after water rescue equipment using EMS dollars from other county sources. If y'all have had a chance lately, you'll notice over at the fire department, we do have 2 new jet skis. Well, the chief is standing there, but we have 2 new jet skis, and I believe we also, with this funding, we'd be able to look at using the boat. Right now, Deer Beach is the #1 water rescue spot in Pinellas County.
Wow, great.
So if y'all take a look at that, when city manager gets a look at that, we'd appreciate it for y'all taking a look and consider passing.
Yeah, we'll get that all out to you all, and again, those purchases will have to run through our normal budget, and my only concern with that administratively is that the items that we purchase, such as jet skis and boats and those types of things, doesn't necessitate either overtime or additional personnel. That we operate within the confines of how we're operating now, and I've had that conversation with the chief and the mayor, and everything's good there, so we don't have to have any issues with that. Number 4. Proposed changes to the BOC rules and procedures. I hate to assign homework, but we only have to do this every year. Take a look at that and see if there's anything in there that grabs you as either unnecessary or frivolous, or you would like to add to it. The one thing that Amy and I would like to add for sure is you're all aware, because of how we got a lot of balls in there, right? We're doing a lot of things, and a lot of times we can't be ready for you until sometimes that night we're amending something, we're changing something up, something comes in at the last minute, you've got something on your desk. Before, we just created a log for you so that you knew it was on your desk, and you were required to probably quickly read it, or maybe not even read it, 5 minutes before the meeting. We're going to actually take time during the meeting, and Amy or I or the relevant department head will explain it to you, because I think I've seen it happen a couple of times where we're voting on something and you may not even know that it was on your desk or something had changed or anything like that. We just plop it up there and it's your responsibility, and that's not good practice on my behalf, at least. So we're going to walk you through that, and that's the one change that we want to do. So we'll actually take time during the agenda. If something's goofy, something's changed, something's new, and it was plopped on your desk, we'll talk you through it. But if there's anything else on that agenda, anything at all that you say, hey, you know what, we never use this, or maybe this would be helpful, let's have a conversation about that at that time. Discussion on the charter review in regards to selling of city-owned property. This might be contentious, and you may or not agree with it, but we've run into some situations with the recent surge of development in town where a developer may ask to vacate an alley, or we've been approached by a number of multi-million-dollar type developers that say, I'd like to put up a parking garage on a piece of public property, but we can't do that for longer than a 10-year duration because of how we're structured with our charter. So there's a clause in your charter that you could delete or modify that would allow the Board of Commissioners to handle that, vote on that, and I guess discuss the fate of that. So if there's a plot of property and Pat Shantz says, I'd like to put out for RFP that we do a public-private partnership with somebody to build us a 4-story parking garage with mixed use on the bottom and maybe a viewing tower or something goofy on the top. Whatever that may be, you don't have the authority to do that right now. You'd have to go to referendum every single time. including the vacation of an alleyway or the tiniest little bit of conveyance of property, you'd have to go to referendum. Now, to change this, you'd have to go to referendum, but you would only have to do it once. And then what you're basically doing is asking the power of the people to put the power into the Board of Commissioners to have this authority. So, again, either way, it's completely up to you, but with this surge of development, it's hard to always wait for that next referendum opportunity to go. These developers want to do it now, or they're moving on to the next city. So however you guys want to handle that, but we could go ahead and pass, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, we have to pass an ordinance to send it to referendum. It would be next March. And then if you do it soon enough, we could actually hold some educational type seminars, or we call them town hall meetings. I think that would be very important to educate the public on this so that they're informed come next March for the election.
And another thing I'd like to say is the example of all this would be, just take a look at Treasure Island. Take a look at St. Pete Beach. This is the kind of stuff that these things in your charter does. Stops development. Stops.
Right.
And, you know, we're moving on. We can't be bothered with this kind of nonsense because that holds you up for years, and it's the most ridiculous thing I ever saw. We got that out of the charter years ago, one time before. And, you know, it's back in there. I don't know when it went in. And the last group of people, do you remember when that happened, Mark?
No.
It happened anytime when I was,
You know, it's
already in there when I was in there.
Not to get long-winded, but it's really political science 101. You know, it's either a delegate or a trustee, and a lot of times you say, well, the people need to vote on this, but then you get an 8% voter turnout. Well, did the people really vote on that? Well, all the voters voted for you as a trustee. They're telling you that you've got the intelligence, you guys got elected to make the big decision. So it's really a political ideology, and either we can work with it either way, but it certainly holds us back from a timeline perspective if you guys want to get off and get going, especially with the impending parking problem that you have. You have a major parking problem in Johns Pass. You've got a major parking problem up on this side of town now with the city center and the development that we're going to see come relatively soon. Archwell Park's contributing to it. Plus, it's a moneymaker if you're looking for some sort of parking garage or parking lot or parking anything. But we've got developers literally beating down the door because there's other communities that aren't as gracious as we are in terms of development. So we'll discuss that from head to toe, and you guys can give us some direction on that. Number 6, I'd like to delete. Number 7, I believe, was a request by now Vice Mayor Poe. Your city clerk and C have done a salary survey. This is in discussion to possibly adjusting the salaries for I guess would be the next commission.
Yes.
So you guys, I believe the survey is done. We can look at the data, see where you fall into place. Again, for you guys, you certainly don't do it for the money, but I think you want to be competitive. You guys are a great group of folks, but there's always the next crop, so to speak, and we want to make sure that we get some qualified, good candidates to, kind of continue the momentum once your time has come and gone here with the city. So, Doug has a discussion on fees and permitting for beach business, and that's a very generic term. But we have a lot of people now that we've got, Zumba and yoga going on at the rec center, that they're conducting these types of classes and doing those types of things on the beach here in Madeira. And so we want to be able to, regulate that and make sure that it's being done right, but all the other beaches charge for those services. And so we'd like to discuss that with you. And then number 9, if you remember about 60 days ago, Vince, that, we do have to probably employ some financial policies and budget policies with a financial type advisor. We've let Mr. Larson kind of go, so to speak. We've signed on with somebody else that Vince is a little more comfortable with, and he's flying in from somewhere. Denver. So I'm hoping that he comes in the night before, but if we may need to be flexible with him on this agenda depending on when he arrives and when he might have to leave to catch a flight out of here. And that would be it for the workshop, unless there's anything else. A lot of these were requested by commissioners, but if there's anything else, let us know. And frankly, we can change this up until probably late next week.
Is there any questions or additions for the agenda? All right, I'd like a motion for the agenda for the April 28th, 2015 workshop.
I still move, Mr. Mayor.
A second.
Motion's been made a second. Is there discussion on this commission? City clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Poe?
Yes.
Commissioner Lister?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodges? It'll take me some getting used to, too. Commissioner Shantz?
Yes.
Mayor Palladino?
Yes.
Before we move on, Mr. Mayor, the one other thing, and Amy, it escaped me, and I don't know if you had changed it up already, was, and Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, the order that you vote in. And I think it would be good practice that every time that we call a roll, that it be different than the time before. And so you never know if you're gonna be first, middle, last, you have no idea what that sequence is gonna be, and it'll always be different. I think that that's good practice, because if you see, you know, not that it's happening, but I think the perception in this last term was that, you know, Crawford throws something in front of you, it's already rubber stamped, boom, you guys vote on it, it's the same vote every single time, and that's not the case. We know that, but the perception is something else. And so I'd like to, you know, be as transparent as possible, and I think that that would certainly help. So if that doesn't freak anybody out, it shouldn't. I think we're gonna probably employ that practice as well. If it's approved, we'll probably write it right into that policy document, if that's okay with you all.
That's fine.
Seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 5:58 p.m.